It's like 3 a.m. and I'm wide awake, so I decided to do a live. My cat is messing with me. Let me tell you what I underestimated, y'all. Um, Honestly, what I think I underestimated when I started to interpret sacred text and I started to make the videos and tell people who I am is how many Satanists are actually in the world. And I underestimated that, yeah, there were already Satanists who were attacking me and who were giving me those kinds of terrible experiences. But I also underestimated that there would be other Satanists who would also want to use me and do witchcraft on me to try to advance their own positions or gains in the world. Um, Excuse me, y'all, need some sleep, obviously, because it's 3 a.m. But I underestimated that. And so when I started to project sacred texts and tell everybody what it not meant, but tell everybody what those things really are, um, that attracted people. But then other people who were Satanists also decided to try to use me also to advance their positions and things in the world. And so what that did was it exposed me to a lot of evil. And then one of the hurtful things was, although the Satanists were paying attention to me interpreting the text, I didn't see as many of people paying attention. Like people would come pay attention because the way that things work, the way that interpreting sacred text, the alchemy is, once I tell you what it is, it's a connection to the beings. So now you'll be able to connect and perceive what things are, and more truths, more knowledge once the connection is gained. Because anything that teaches us, no, I don't eat cats. Um, when the stars teach us, when the earth teaches us, um, well, anyway, when the stars and earth teach us, when they teach us they're more dimensional beings, and so they're teaching us. Um, Again, I got off the point. Either way, I underestimated how many people would try to use me. I underestimated how many Satanists were in the world. So what I ultimately did, once the people who were good wasn't listening more, there were people who were evil who were listening more. And so those evil people were doing destiny swaps. And so I had destiny swaps done here. I didn't have destiny swaps done, but there were people doing destiny swaps in the United States on me. And then there were people who were in Africa, people who were like um, in other continents trying to do destiny swaps and use me. So when I'm revealing sacred text, when I'm interpreting because I'm the Haremaket. So that means I am interpreting so that we can evolve. Well, thank you. And so I'm evolving the planet. Now, a bunch of people are saying that those days, but the way to know that a person is honestly the person who evolves us is by the truth. Once you listen to the truth, if the truth connects with you, then you start to perceive other beings and they let you know what's truth and what isn't. And then once they let you know that, then you see me and you understand that I am telling you the truth. So it's not about me trying to force you into seeing what it is that I'm saying or understand that I am the Hura Maket or that I evolve consciousness. But the truth that I tell you, if you perceive, if you hear it and there's a connection with you with that truth. You can perceive for yourself. It's a Gnostic because we're real Gnostics. We're not the Gnostics. There's a religion called Gnosticism, but there are three honest Gnostics on earth right now. And we are the three who reincarnate, and we are the three who interpret. And it's in Revelation, there are three of us. And so we interpret sacred texts to everyone else. It's not a cult. It's but people would, have anyway, I underestimated that. And so once I did that, there were people around the world who then started taking advantage of um, of me instead of acknowledging me and acknowledging that they use the words. What I'm telling you is profound, honestly. Do you know that our next level up is we go into space, but we can't be led to outer space by evil. And the people who are most influential right now are the people who are the most evil. So a bunch of those people walking around in those mansions are using witchcraft. They're using Satanism, and they are doing atrociously evil things to people and torturing and tormenting people in order to stay in those mansions. They are stealing ideas, destiny swapping. A bunch of people were destiny swapped or murdered by those same people that people look at and clap for because that's what they are. Well, a bunch of those people are doing destiny swaps. And there are a bunch of people on this earth who are way talented, are extremely talented, are extremely smart, and extremely capable who are struggling. One of the things that I was made sure to understand is right now, today, all the people in the world who are actually good, the ones who are actually good, who will actually care about other people, who literally will do things as be a part of the rainbow. The rainbow is um, how do you block someone? Oh, okay. Okay, there we go. It is 3 a.m., so I realize there are going to be some people up right now that, well, really, it's all around the world, but that person is probably in the United States. They look like one of the United States' people harassing me, or my channel. Okay, so yeah, I underestimated that. So when I underestimated that, y'all, it's like people started attacking me. More people started attacking me instead of less. So instead of me just having to deal with that NASCAR driver who was attacking me and his wife, doing all kind of nasty stuff to me, they were projecting their pedophilia. They were doing pedophilia and projecting it and trying to force. Okay, I'm not a pedophile. I'm gonna say that now. I've never thought about being a pedophile. I raised my baby. He knows I'm not. He's not a pedophile, anything like that. We're literally good people, good people. And there was a NASCAR driver who was doing all kinds of evil stuff. But then he was projecting things at me and harassing me, but he was doing it by astral projection. And when I started telling people online all the stuff that he was doing, I thought I was doing, I thought that's what I was supposed to do to break up the curses, those kind of things. Well, like I said, a bunch of other Satanists started perceiving, or at least of course, they were also communicating with other Satanists. So those other Satanists started attacking me too. So then I had a bigger problem in a way because then there was a whole bunch more people who were attacking me, trying to get things out of, you know, take things from me through witchcraft, that kind of thing. And then it even expanded to where it was more than just the people in the United States who were doing it. Then it was people around the world who were doing it. So then I had that bigger problem. So once I had that bigger problem, it was like, it got to a point to where they were attacking me doing sacred text, period. And it's crazy because we're still evolving people. There are three Gnostics, like I said. We're still evolving people as we are. Being attacked by Satanism did not stop me from interpreting sacred text, so I continued to do it. But it got to a point to where I did stop putting as many videos online because they were sabotaging my videos whenever I was doing my videos. And so I'll still do videos. I mean, I'll do videos later. But right now I am, I had to take some time to focus. Well, I still need to do this. I interpret sacred text, but my focus was on that. And what they were attacking was me and using the attacks on me to make themselves look better. So then I needed to focus on what they were doing to me. And when I started to do that, then I was doing less videos than I was doing before. But I was interpreting because I always interpret. Anytime I hear the sacred text, anytime and wisdom is my love language. So I always want to, and I always do it. But that was a harsh thing. It was a harsh thing. And then some of the people that have been using me are some of the people that you wouldn't like. The way they did me, they wanted to keep people from knowing who I am. So, but they're the people who people are going to their concerts, clapping for them, and I've mentioned them before when I was doing my videos, and I always mention their names sometimes, like Beyonce, those kind of people, because those are the people who were attacking me. And so once they started attacking me too, they started, and then I'm telling you, y'all, that asshole in Africa is not going to kill me either. There's some assholes in Africa right now attacking me and trying to destiny swap me so they could gain something from me interpreting sacred text and being a harem cat. And then, yeah, and then when I do these videos, it's crazy because they come on the videos with like different names and stuff. And then they be like putting things on the videos in order to harass me. And it involves the CIA. The CIA have been evil. They actually, if you do the research on the CIA, and a bunch of people are doing that now, and I'm very glad, because the CIA was part of the attacks. They actually are an organization who were established by Satanists. The original CIA people were Satanists. They were the children of Satanists who started the United States. If you know anything about what started the United States, they were started by Satanists. So those people who came over from Britain were satanic, and that's what was being persecuted over in Europe. So the satanic was being persecuted in Europe. They came over to the United States and started to kill the Native Americans. So the Native Americans helped them to survive. They turned on them and then started to kill them, harass them, and curse them. So it's important. One of the most important things to know right now is that Satanists have been cursing brown people. There were Satanists that walked into Africa and colonized Africa. All of those were satanic people. They were part of a satanic organization. Caesar, Constantine, those were Satanists. The Catholics, every Catholic saint is a Satanist. Those churches were started by Satanists. And if you do any research on the Catholic saints, and you should do research on the Catholic saints, the original ones, they're all Satanists. And they do things like drink vomit out of a bucket. Satanists drink disease. If you know anything about mermaids, they drink disease. They drink vomit. They'll lick piss off the ground. They'll pay prostitutes to rub shit all over them. Things like that. Because that vomit, that nasty shit that they do, and they do some of the most nasty, awful, horrible shit you could imagine. But they do that because the connections that they have with those more dimensional beings that they're using to do evil things and to get evil things from are very evil, nasty things. And it's a cultivation when they drink the vomit, when they lick the piss off the ground, when they rub shit on them and do nasty things. They're cultivating evil things within their being in order for them to stay connected with those beings that are doing the evil things that they want them to do. Because realistically, if you look at a Satanist, what they mainly do, what they own, all they really do, I mean, some of them have, like Dave Chappelle, he's a comedian, but he do evil sex magic, you know what I mean? So allegedly, okay, I'm gonna say allegedly, but allegedly he does sex magic, he does Satanism, that kind of thing. And so does Jay-Z. And so um, when they do that stuff, okay, so some of them got jobs and they do like comedian stuff. Well, when they do the things that they do, it'll be something like they'll be truly evil. There'll be some evil, hateful, nasty people. They'll do the worst shit. They'll kill kids, all of that. They go around and they kill people. If you know anything about Satanism, they kill people. They put, they carry evil entities on them. They pass those evil entities on to other people. And then it kills those people. And it'll be something like, if y'all seen that video about allegedly Steve Harvey gave Bernie Mac that lemonade and lemonade killed Bernie Mac, like say 3 weeks later, Bernie Mac died. Well, somebody who knew about witchcraft saw him do something, give Steve Harvey, what's his name? Bernie Mac some lemonade. And then he was dead 3 weeks later. Well, that's something that a Satanist would do. Okay, so they're capable of doing those kind of things. They carry those entities around, and those entities kill people. And then they do destiny swaps. When they do destiny swaps, the person that they swap, the evil entities will start to. It's what they did to Whitney Houston, by the way. Whitney Houston was destiny swapped. And when they destiny swapped her, they wanted to change her image in the public. So what they did was they started calling her ugly in the press. And what happens is those entities that were on her would not allow her to go out in public looking like that gorgeous, stately kind of. I mean, Whitney was a chosen God. Whitney was queen. You see what I'm saying? And they wouldn't allow her to look like that in public. So I used to see her and they used to tell me when she was alive. This is how I know. And so when I would see her, because I perceive, so the earth speaks. The earth is a living being and the earth speaks. The stars are living beings and they speak. And they are way more dimensional. So they can speak to us there are beings on Jupiter who are more dimensional. So they speak to all of our cosmic community all at once. And they have their own being in their own lives, way more than we do. And so, but there are entities also between us and the stars who are, they're more dimensional, but some of them are good and some of them are evil. And so what they did to Whitney was anytime Whitney was getting ready to get dressed or anything to go out, they would refuse her to be able to use any kind of help. Like they would make her tired, they would make her confused, not, and just in general, not have her do things that a person would normally do in her position in order to keep her image when she walked outside her home. And so people would see Whitney, but they wouldn't see that queenly Whitney. They would see her in jeans or looking really like she just didn't take care of herself. because they weren't allowing her to take care of herself. And then I remember her doing an interview. Well, she said, show me some receipts about drugs because they were accusing her of being on drugs. And that was obvious she was on drugs. But show me the receipts was a popular phrase in that time. But they called her stupid. You see, they were calling her stupid and an idiot and all this kind of stuff. Now, that was a way that nobody had ever talked to Whitney before that time. But because she was being destiny swapped at the time, she was then being called stupid. She was being called an idiot for saying that phrase, saying drug dealers don't give receipts and those kind of things. But she was saying, show me the receipts because it was a popular phrase. So that's the kind of thing that happened with Destiny Swap. And then suddenly she was doing interviews where she was being looked at, really like a terrible person or like somebody who was a loser. And it was an odd thing to see Whitney Houston spoken to like that or seen like that. But when somebody does that, that's a destiny swap. That's when someone evil has done some sort of ritual. They have done some very evil things. And those entities start to attack the person that they are destiny swapping. And then those people start to get things because what happens, the truth of Satanism is that those beings understand who's going to get in their way, who's going to be against them, who's going to be a good person and not going to do their bidding. They want those people to be evil and to stifle their lives and to keep them from having any influence on the population. So they hurt people. The people, what they do though, is they use real people to hurt people because that's what's going to hurt. It's going to hurt if you think that there's some piece of crap in a mansion who's doing sex magic with their wives or with their husbands and they're using their real thought processes, words, and their real actions to hurt you. That's what's going to hurt because that's something that the human mind can relate to. So they use those people and those people's actions. They project those actions on other people and they are in general do things to force misery upon the person, upon the victim. And because that misery is upon the victim and the being who is attacking the victim is using that other person who's doing Satanism, they're using their humanness. Although they are unhumane, they're using their humanness to attack the person and make that person very miserable. Then they're giving that other person things. And a lot of what they give sometimes is people not looking at the evil things that they're doing. Some of the things they do would be, say, to cover them. Like there's the NASCAR driver was talking about. I was talking about him for years because he allegedly, him and his dad are pedophiles. And they do very evil things. And they were astral projecting on me. Him and his wife was astral projecting and his sister. Well, while he was doing it, he, he's like this, he has this particular position where, okay, the truth is United States is actually still a very racist country. We know it's a racist country because the KKK is still legal. The KKK been legal and they are a legal serial killer group. So there's a legal beige serial killer group going around the United States legally who've been doing it for years. So it's a racist country. So that person is beige in a racist country that is racist towards brown and other hues of men because we're all hues of man. And he's in that kind of position that he's in, and he's insulated by KKK, he's insulated by Nazi, that kind of thing. Well, that's some of that is to some of the things that the more dimensional beings do for them is cover up their crimes. If they're doing crimes like if they're allegedly molesting their kids, then those beings that they use do Satanism is covering that. In other words, they're getting people to look the other way. Or if the people around them see things that they've done that don't look right, they won't report it or say anything if they're under curses. But if they're not under curses, they'll report what they've done and say things if they do anything evil in front of them or if they notice something not right. And so that's part of what Satanism does. It, like, if somebody noticed something not right that somebody else does, they'll distract that person who saw. And then what happens is the person who did it, if they get distracted, they may not get told on. And so a bunch of that's been happening the whole time because, and then the curses, okay, when they project curses, if brown women only understood that the beige women who came on those, on like the Mayflower, all of that, those are Satanists coming out of Britain and coming out of Europe and carving up Africa, colonizing the United States, colonizing the Aborigines. Those are Satanists. So when they were doing that, they were projecting on those people. They were cursing them before they were even attacking them because they sent the curses in first. So when they started cursing them, they curse them and they say things like, they'll make people feel unattractive. They'll make, like I went through years. Like there were years I was being called beautiful all the time. Then there was years that the satanic attacks was like constantly saying you ugly, because the person in NASCAR, they wife asked for that. And there's an African right now over in Africa attacking me. And that piece of shit and his wife attacks in Destiny Swaps. And that's one of the things that she gets off on is trying to get pregnant, doing Satanism and then using Satanism in order to project evil things upon me, and then they getting things off of that. It's crazy because when people do it, it's done by astral projection. It's done by projecting themselves, and they're cursing other regions. So a person can curse another region before they go into it. So what they were doing was they were cursing whole regions of people. And once those people were cursed, then they go into them. And the people, as they're being cursed, they're more and more vulnerable to other curses if they don't understand someone is cursing them. Once they have an understanding someone cursing them and if they can get help from others, it might be a little better. But not understanding that having someone curse you it's basically like having someone whisper. We're projections of sound turned into light. So somebody is whispering into the sound constantly of the stream of your projection and poisoning you with those whispers. So, for instance, they'll say, you ugly over and over again. Well, if somebody is whispering that into a person's projection 24 hours a day for months, that person is going to start to react because what they're doing is they're speaking into the projection of the person dimensionally. So what that's doing is disturbing the person's projection itself, the projection of the whole being. And that disturbance is poison. It's spiritual poison. So when they start to poison the person spiritually, then the poisons start to manifest physically. Once the poison starts manifesting physically, then what it looks like is it looks like people being disturbed all the time, and not being able to sometimes control their reactions, control their movements. It goes into where it's a poison being put into a spirit. So that poison start to react. When people start getting poisoned, it looks like people are being poisoned. So people, skin color, the coloration of their skin will start getting like black spots, things like that. The same thing that poison does. It takes out people's hair. People will start going bald. And that's part of what's happening to people that they don't really realize. A lot of people is losing their hair because they're getting poisoned in their projections. And so that when, just like poison does, it'll take out someone's hair, it'll swell. People start to swell from head to toe and don't know why they're swelling. And I have extreme edema without understanding why. They'll go to the doctor. Doctors say your heart fine. I went to the doctor over and over again for things like that. Heart was great, liver great, kidneys great, The doctor will keep checking that person. Everything will be great. But for some reason, they'll be swollen from head to toe and have all kind of health problems and won't know why. That's because something is poisoning them via astral projection. There's a being who's more dimensional, who is speaking into the stream, the sound stream that is projecting the light of the person. And once they start to speak into that, they start to poison the person. After so long, that person gets so poisoned, the poisoners start trying to make that person kill themselves. And, because that's part of it. The beings that are more dimensional are more advanced. So what it looks like when they poison, it looks like people trying to kill themselves. So even though somebody else would look at that person and go, why would that person try to kill themselves? They so young, they this and that. Like those kids in elementary school who were killing themselves. That's a being telling them to kill themselves. Because the poison get to where it starts to tell people to kill themselves. It starts to make people so miserable that they don't want to live, or that's poisoning them in order to make them feel that their projection is just not worthy, or not, like they don't have a place in the world. It's so many different things that happen when they start to poison people like that. And all of that stuff is poison. All the things that they use in Satanism to disturb the psyche and the mind, all of that literally is people being poisoned via spirit. And that poison is manifesting physical. And that physical manifestation of that poison will sometimes lead to people committing suicide. And when they do commit suicide, it is a manifestation of being poisoned. It's not just a manifestation of the person feeling sad. They're being forced to feel feelings that are telling them it's time for them to die. Even though what's really happening is their projection is being so disturbed by something so evil that it's being projected onto them like that. It's being poisoned onto them like that. And so, like with me, I started perceiving, once I started to be attacked, or once I was attacked, there were beings in consciousness showing me what the attacks were and exactly. So once I started perceiving that it was poison and that kind of thing, then, there are other beings that show up and they show me what to do. They show me how to heal. They show me sacred text. And so having a connection did keep me from killing myself. And it kept showing me different things. Like there was one time when they were concentrating on making me hate men. And it's easy to hate men when it comes to those kind of things, because they participate in the rapes. And once they start participating in the rapes and people start getting raped, it's easy to hate men, because being raped psychologically, unless somebody is being tortured and or and killed, well, and unalived, excuse me, being raped psychologically is way worse than being raped. And being raped physically is horrible. Like I've been in a situation where someone wanted to rape me and was trying to abuse me and rape me, and I fought in that situation. I fought for almost over 2 hours for that person not to rape me. And I was capable of doing it at the time. But psychological rape turns out way worse than physical rape. So I've been in both situations. Psychological is worse. It's way worse. But if you don't get away from the physical one, then the physical one is worse, of course. But if you manage to get away from the physical rape and experience the psychological rape also, oh my God, it's terrible. It's terrible. It'll make you want to kill yourself instantly. Somebody rape you psychologically. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. And the people who do it are the most purest evils on the face of the planet. If you don't know about mermaids and the underworld and those kinds of evils, this may sound crazy, or this may sound something that someone would say that may not sound, it's not orthodox, of course, and it's something that everybody should know about. But they are quite insane. They are not like us. That's what they're. Um, the song "Not Like Us" is about. I don't think they think it's just about rich people going around lying or something. I think, but they don't understand. He is talking about mermaids. He is talking about people who are under earth. They call it under earth. It's whole cities. It's a whole. There are people using very evil magic. And those people who use evil magic are not like us. Okay? Their process of thought tells them that it's okay for them to put their penises in animals and put their penises in little kids in order to gain fortunes and fame and in order to get people to look the other way at evil things they do. And they get blood money when they wake up in the morning. So they wake up, they got money in their pockets, or somehow they got blood money flowing in from somewhere. And so if you don't know about that, it might sound, you know, a little strange to you. But those of us who know about those things, whether participating in them or not, and I don't participate in that, but we know, and we know that it's bad. So anyway, I was up at 3 a.m. I'm doing God the Seer right now. In God the Seer, it was odd because I also interpreted the Little Mermaid story. So if you don't know about the Little Mermaid story, that's an alchemical story. That alchemical story is about witchcraft, and it is about being a witch, wanting to have something. When they say on the surface, they're speaking alchemy. So they, alchemically, that's wanting something on the earth, but and being someone who is in the underworld, under earth. And so what happens is that person, something happens to their person. The ship is a representative of their life. And they have some turmoil, get washed up on the shore. That's the turmoil of their life. And they get saved by someone from the temple. They don't get saved. They get saved by okay, so the mermaid is them doing witchcraft. So they start doing witchcraft, get washed up on the shore, but they also participate in it looks like religion, but they say from the temple, which means with helping themselves. Basically to say things that a person would do that's a metaphysician, which is to um, concentrate and evolve the temple. So the temple is the self. And so what happens is the story is about the person going to mermaid, going to the mermaid, I mean, not the mermaid, the octopus. The octopus is a more advanced witch. So they go to a more advanced witch, they do spells. And when they say the person get their legs, that means that they were doing spells and they accomplished the things that they were trying to accomplish via witchcraft. So once they do accomplish those things, that's what that's about when they go to the octopus, because the octopus takes her voice, which means she can't say anything about the things she's doing because she's going to be doing evil things. And then the octopus tells her, and the octopus is a more advanced sea creature, mermaid, whatever, person who does witchcraft. Um, that every step she take gonna be like hot knives in her feet. Okay, because they got to kill people and do a lot of evil things in order to accomplish the things that they do. So it's like hot knives every time they step and dance. But she says, but every dance that she do will be so magical that the prince will be enchanted. And so that means that she'll be able to do some things that look very extraordinary. But because she got to kill and do all kinds of evil things to do them, it's going to be like hot daggers in her feet. And hot daggers in the feet means the places where it's not what you're doing, it's where it's going. So because when they talk about dancing, the mermaid dancing, that means that's the person getting, um, being in a society and being able to do a lot of things in the society. So in the rest of the story, the prince finds her. She gets washed up on shore when she gets her legs. The prince finds her, and he takes her everywhere he goes, and he has her sleep by her bed at night, which means that he's doing witchcraft all the time. That means the person in the story. It's an alchemical story about the person doing witchcraft all the time and getting the things that they want. But um, in the end of the Little Mermaid story, that person decides to marry somebody else. The real story is they marry a woman from the temple. And a woman from the temple means that that person decided not to do witchcraft anymore and started to improve themselves and evolve. And the mermaid becomes a stone in the sea. And before she becomes a stone in the sea, she was given a knife by her sisters and told if she killed the person, if she killed the prince, then she could go back to being a mermaid and dive back into the sea and get her tail back, which means if they kill what's budding, that's making them want to marry or making them want to improve themselves, they can go back to being evil and they don't have to worry about anything. Because once a person does get out of witchcraft, then there are a lot of issues that might come up because, it's not easy to exit witchcraft by any means. Um, and then when somebody does, they get attacked. And they get attacked like they attacking the victims. And once they get attacked like they attacking the victims that they were attacking before, a bunch of them, they can't handle it. They'll go right back to witchcraft. Some of them, they eventually get through it and continue. But a bunch of them will go back to witchcraft because it's ruthless attacks. It's attacks that are so absolutely evil that it's almost like instant suicide because they don't have compassion at all and they move without compassion. And when they do the curses are without compassion. And so they'll curse a person in a way that is so detrimental and devastating that the person will instantly really want to commit suicide, or just some very unnatural things to the person will happen. And it's very disturbing, it's very distracting. The things that they do, and like I said, a bunch of them can't handle the stuff that they project on others. And so they'll keep going back to witchcraft instead of staying out, dealing with that, and then figuring out some way to get through it. And some of the people in the world who are the most influential, those are witchcraft people. I never forget they told me I think it's like 10 years ago, they told me every single person who basically got billions of dollars or somebody was doing witchcraft because there came a time when no one could do that unless they were doing witchcraft. There came a time like that. And so everybody who had billions or who was really doing anything was doing witchcraft in order to do that. And because it got, because that came up the way that it did, a bunch of people, I was shown by greater consciousness what people do. Like, say people are ambitious and they want to get rich. Well, they're going to look at other rich people. And if other rich people are doing witchcraft, they're going to do witchcraft too, some of them. Some of them going to have the sense enough to say, no, that shit don't look right. But the process of thought, it takes somebody to really, really, really perceive that they got to rape a baby or kill somebody to get millions of dollars or to get a position in life. If you have an understanding of that process of thought is not a normal process of thought. It's not normal in any way for anybody to walk around thinking that putting their dick in a cow is a good way to receive money. Or putting their dick in a goat is a good way to see political position. But the people who think like that, that's what they mean by they not like us. Some people think like that. Like, their process of thought takes them to a point to where they'll kill people to get position and money. They'll kill innocent children. They'll have sex with fish. Fish is about the flow. All of them mean something. The goat is a climber, so that's social climbing. getting things um, successful. And then child molestation, that kind of thing, comes from raping that's raping the, if you see Gilgamesh, when he wants to live forever, okay, he decides he wants to live forever. So in order to live forever, he has to go see Utnapishtim. So in order to do that, he has to go to the young woman. Now, when he sees the young woman, she's enclosed behind something. And she don't want him let in because she know he not finna be, you know, good. So that's a representation. That young woman is a representation of um, wisdom. Someone who's not necessarily wisdom, but someone who is eager for knowledge. They look at knowledge like a young girl, like something that a young. And this is not a teenager in the story of Gilgamesh. She's just a young woman. But looking at wisdom as a young woman is basically to say looking at it with bright new eyes, or like it's something that a person really loves and really wants to do and pay attention to and absorb. Like a young, fresh face, something that does not get tired of it. Even though they use the reference young woman, it doesn't mean that people get tired of old women. But when something is new, it's exciting. And that's a representation of those things staying excited. Well, Gilgamesh was not invited in, but broke the gate. So then when he broke open the gate and talked to the woman, she directed him to Utnapishtim. But he couldn't handle any of that because he didn't have the continence to do that. And so the people were going to have a new king. They weren't going to be able to keep him as their king. And he died eventually, and they got another king. And a king, in this sense, is not, when people think of kings, really he was a pharaoh. He wasn't a king. There's a difference between a king and a pharaoh. A pharaoh is the gods that people are worshiping. A king is the chosen God of the people. So he breaks open the gate and finds out anyway. Well, that's kind of an illustration of what a Satanist does. They don't, they take the shortcut, which is to break down the gate. And once they take that shortcut is for them to do a bunch of evil things, um, nasty, terrible things. And when they do those nasty, evil, terrible things, um, what happens is they get projected out to those who are susceptible and not perceiving who they really are, in the opposite ways of the people they are. So that means somebody who's brown, say, very famous, who seems to be about brown people, could actually be a very racist asshole who really don't care anything about brown people and who are helping other people to stifle and subjugate and traumatize and torment. And they are enslavers or oppressors, the same as the beige people who oppressed all the brown people, but they got a brown person helping them. So if you really start doing the research on all of these things, what you find at the root, when you dig down to the root, is it's brown people and beige people together who were oppressing brown people. Brown people, they didn't just walk into Africa and start with their guns and was able to carve up Africa with guns. Africans could have copied guns. They were metal workers, and their bodies against those beige bodies with the same guns. Really? No, they were being cursed for them beige people walked in there, and them beige people walked in with witchcraft. And Africans knew about witchcraft, but the one thing is, if you don't know somebody's cursing and you're not adept at witchcraft, if it's not something that you're good at, then somebody could curse you. Because Africans who know about witchcraft get cursed all the time and go through all kind of issues, even though they already know and they've been told about it since they were kids. Because everybody is not very good at witchcraft, And if that person is not good at it and they start getting cursed, um, they may not even know they're being cursed at first. They may not know why things are going bad. And then if they go to another witch, what they don't realize is, some of them, they don't realize that in order to, some of those witches will only suppress that demon with another demon, or they'll suppress that evil entity with another evil entity. And so when they suppress that demon, that evil with another evil entity, if that other evil entity come into conflict with suppressing that other entity, they're gonna stop suppressing it. And the person gonna have a problem again. And they're gonna be right back with the witch, doing the same kind of stuff over and over again and just spending their money for something that's not gonna help them or fix it. And the only way to fix that is Shango. We need Shango and we need a mountain of strength. And that mountain of strength has to be towards the individual too, because so the Africans also knew what to do, but getting people, but what's hard about that particular cure is that, and they still do it, like they'll still make the evil uncomfortable in that person's body, because what it is making evil uncomfortable in the person's body. So the Africans did know what to do, but that was forgotten about because they started going into Christianity. And once they go into Christianity, Christianity is Satanism. And it's purposely disguised Satanism. So if you go back to Constantine, Constantine was a Satanist. But see, all these things are in books that people are not always reading. Or we're not always reading, because we're reading now, and more people are finding out the things that they need to know in order to perceive now than they were before. But yeah, that was Satanism. And the Catholic Church was Satanism, though all those original saints were Satanists. And if you read about them, they do satanic behaviors. They tell you they satanic behaviors. It's a purposeful, disguised thing. And so going into Satanism doesn't help the problem. It aids the problem, but it's kind of a low-grade aid. But once they start helping the Satanism still by via Christianity, they don't really mess with the people anymore. The satanic spirits don't have a reason to mess with the people because they help in satanic spirits. Plus, not just that, people, when they go into Christianity, it sets up belief systems that are basically, I'll say the Satanists kill Christians. They kill Christians left and right. It's a bunch of Christians that'll tell you that if you're a praying person, then they don't mess with you, that kind of thing. Because the reality is, if the person is already helping Satanism, ain't no reason to bother them. And that's the honest reason. That's the honest reason why. And then the scripts have power. So you when you use the scripts are very powerful words because they come from greater consciousness. And so they do have power as they are because they're truths. Well, people get connected to those truths via Christianity. Because this was what I was going into saying, but for some reason, something was messing with me where I repeated myself instead of using this phrase. Instead of saying what I'm saying now. And people get attached to that power via Christianity. And the only way to get them out of that is for them to perceive the honest interpretation of sacred text. And there are only 3 people in the entirety of Earth who knows all of those honest interpretations of sacred text. Really, 1 person out of the 3 who knows more. And there's 3 Gnostics. I'm one of them. And then there's a line of Judah, which I am. And so we're the person who interprets sacred text and know what those things mean. Well, not mean. We know what those interpretations honestly are. So as we interpret, people have an understanding and more perception. I've heard somebody now perceiving that being that's trying to take over the earth. There's a satanic being. It's a female, and it's a very perverse spirit. There's a lot of perverse people who are very influential in the world, and they are doing that by raping. They're by using sex magic. And what happens in sex magic? They basically have sex. It's like having sex while somebody's having sex while they avatar you. If you never felt what it felt like for somebody to avatar you, have sex, it's literally like somebody is raping. It's sodomizing you. It's sodomizing your soul. It's one of the worst feelings in the entirety of feelings. And it's instant suicide. Anybody do it to you, it instantly feel like suicide. If you understand how horrible rape feel, okay, take that feeling dimensional. And that's what it's like to be raped by astral projection. So the person who does that got to be one of the most purest evils on the face of the planet to make somebody feel that way, especially sexually. And so it just like when this started happening to me, I didn't have I just stopped. I just stopped. It like to even think about having it. It's like you want to kill. It's like a person want to commit suicide just to think about having it. Really, and not because they craving it or anything like that. Just because they think it's like an assault on you. When somebody raped you like that by astral projection, even the thought of somebody having sex with you, it'll make you want to commit suicide. It'll make you want to kill yourself. It'll just take all the joy out your life. Just the thought of it, because it's such a devastating thing to do to somebody, to rape them like that. So the people who do it are the purest evils, I promise. They the purest evils. And some of those purest evils are the ones collecting them Grammys, are the ones in those mansions, are the ones people are making presidents of countries and clapping for. Y'all are clapping for some of the worst people on earth, I promise. Some of the literal worst people on the entirety of the planet. And so that's what made projecting sacred text so difficult. And so but I was told that once I started projecting, who would attack me. And so the people who attacked me were those kinds of people. And so that's where the connections come from. The connections to attacking us come from those kinds of people. And some of us are not going to course. If you know anything true about the course is evil. When back in the days when we were here, and the course was established, brown people didn't go to no court for nothing. Because we understood the evil established the court. Like we understood the evil was doing satanic rituals to make that music, and we were saying that's the devil's music. We understood that the evil was the courts. So originally we didn't like the NAACP, because the NAACP were people who were learning the evils that was set up in the courts. Eventually, brown people started to like them, but they hated them at first because brown people understood that the courts are evil. Those are evil entities making up laws and establishing courts. So the people who are learning the court system and the law system are learning an evil system. And so people didn't go to courts when they were brown. They knew going to court meant something terrible would happen to them if they were brown, because they knew about witchcraft back in those days. And people underestimate that, yes, the brown people in the United States knew about witchcraft for a long time and understood what was happening, could see those entities, could see those evil beige people doing witchcraft, and was responding in ways that made more sense then than some of the people think it do now, because they went into Christianity and they have forgotten what we understood before about witchcraft, and not teaching it to their kids. You know, some of the satanic people are teaching it to their kids, but the people who are sitting in church is not learning real spirituality. And so their kids or people are suffering, and they're not able to really be instrumental in helping with the suffering, because they're conducting the evil currency that was established. They're conducting evil energy not knowing it. They're not trying to be evil, but they don't understand that supporting evil is what is helping. And so, people keep trying to figure out, well, what are they supposed to do? Not understanding that it's the support of the system itself that is hurting them in the first place. So you got to stop supporting those systems in order to stop, in order to stop the system. But like I'm reading God the Seer right now, and that's what God the Seer is about. There's some golden chains, and the gold chains are plated with silver. Well, the reason they're plated with silver is the same reason. It's like Judas Iscariot. He's a praised one with no gods. That's what the Satanists are. Praised ones with no gods. Judas Iscariots. So they kiss the mouth of Jesus, which is the revolutionary. They make people believe that they revolutionary, even though they not. And at the same time, what they doing is they killing the revolutionaries, or they stifling the revolutionaries by doing extremely evil things. So people are clapping for people who are not revolutionary and not helping them, but they look like it. But the real revolutionaries are the ones who are really having a hard time and going through a lot of difficulties in the societies that evil has established, are grafted into other societies. And so as they do that, evil is able to take more and more control and to disguise itself, or to, and really they don't, it's very blatant because, so when you look at things that they're doing, it's so blatant. They don't really be hiding it like that, but they doing witchcraft. So they have a whole lot more confidence because there's an evil entity that is more dimensional who is also actuating in their situation and making people look the other way and that kind of thing at the evil things that they're doing, even if they see the person doing things blatantly. So learning about these things is the way to perceive. Once a person can perceive, then it's a lot easier for everyone who is good. But when it's a bunch of people who can't perceive, that makes it more advantageous for people to do evil. So the societies they set up, people get murdered every day. And if y'all don't understand how insane y'all are for sitting in these societies and not learning alchemy, people are getting murdered in y'all neighborhoods and y'all societies every day. That's insane. School shootings are insane. So right now, people don't understand how insane they are for being in societies where people get murdered every day. If you have an understanding, that's insane. People get murdered daily, insane. But if you live in one of those societies, it's hard to be sane. If you don't understand the sensitivity of the psyche and how gorgeous a being these beings are, that we're made, these psyches, these brains, and how sensitive they are, and how much they can, perceive that you're not conscious of, you understand that being in a society where people are murdered every day makes a person insane. You really can't walk around insanity if you can conduct yourself in any way that you feel is normal in a society where people are murdered daily. Everything that you're doing in a society where people are murdered daily that is normal is insane. That you feel is normal is insane. Because the only normal thing to do in a society like that is to get rid of the murderer and stop the murders. So if you get up and go to work at a regular job, let's say one of the fast food restaurants, and let's say you go through different things on your way to work, like having anxiety, you don't like your job. If you work in something that you don't like for more than 4 hours a day, you acting insane. You literally acting insane. If you getting up, going to work and doing something you hate, instead of spending your life feeding your soul every day, you acting insane. People don't know how insane they really behaving. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. And evil did that for 4 centuries. So they have established unsane societies all over the world for 4 centuries. So once I started teaching sacred text, them evils started attacking me because they do not want y'all to understand how insane y'all are acting right now. Then people are doing a lot of protests. They keep asking me, well, why are you not doing protest? Well, because I'm revolutionizing, I'm not protesting, and a revolution is more than a protest. They could take DEI. Let them take it. I don't want that. And then the Daughters of Revolution are the ones who established the organized the way people do school. Well, that's a satanic entity. Those are satanic people in the Daughters of Revolution. That's a witchcraft cult. So they established the school system in a way that was racist, in a way where they were teaching us the worst stuff. But the but they had smiles on those faces, and they were teaching it with an inflection of tone where it sounded like they were saying something good. And so we were all learning racist, dumb stuff, um, thinking it was good because the teacher had an inflection of tone and because of the way they organized the system in order to feed that to people. So take that away. All those organizations that they taken away, people didn't want that. Brown people didn't want that. We didn't want to. We didn't even want to really integrate. And you let them assholes say they want to separate and have apartheid or whatever you call it here. That we were, what was it, Jim Crow, whatever. I don't know what they were doing, but even if we do separate from them, they ain't gonna like it. Like I said before, they are not gonna like it. They gonna have their haggis and all that nasty ass food that they were making up in bread. Because we the one taught them how to season. So what they gonna eat? That's gonna be tasty. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we do separate, they might do a little better because of things that they've learned from us. But ultimately, I think we're going to have the best of it. Honestly, I think we're going to have the best of it. And so they're not going to like that. And historically, we've learned that they don't like being separated from us, honestly. And then anything that we get, they'll come and try to take it if they can't do it. And they try to copy us all the time. So they're not going to like anything like that. If you notice, if they separate from us, we build up some great stuff, and then they come and try to destroy the stuff and try to integrate us again because they don't like being separated from us. So it's going to be great for us, any kind of separations. Great, great. Although a bunch of them going to want to come live with us. That's what's going to end up happening. It's going to be like being invited to the barbecue. Some of them we going to let in because they good. And it's going to be a bunch of people that's going to want to be let in into our communities and our neighborhoods. And then too, our next level up. We could have been in space from what I'm perceiving from greater consciousness. But the reason we didn't go to space is because satanic took over. What Satanists took over. Because if evil is too influential, then people don't evolve. So what people not understanding is evil really don't evolve. They think evil evolving because they trying to fake it till they make it. They faked that moon landing 50 years. Was it 50 years ago? Because I think it's outrageous that people even think. They went to the moon and back. They keep trying to fake it till they make it, that kind of thing, but they ain't done it. Them evil entities they worshiping ain't took them to space. So think about somebody who been worshiping evil entities for 4 centuries and ain't went to space yet. That ain't figured out that they can't get there like that. So those evil entities that them Satanists are worshiping, they're not going to take y'all to space. And they've been trying to stifle me for a long time, but I'm still projecting sacred texts. So we three Gnostics who've been telling y'all what those things mean are the reason why you all can read the Bible. I mean, not just the Bible, but the sacred text better than you were reading it before. Because they didn't stifle me doing sacred text, but they stifled people looking at my channels and looking at my videos and things like that and learning sacred text. But once you perceive what I am teaching, then that truth and consciousness will be the thing that connects you to understanding I'm telling the truth, and that the sacred text is real. And it will start to have you perceive what is real and what isn't, what is truth and what isn't, and break up those curses. So it was a long journey. It was a journey for me to start breaking up curses too. And I still get attacked. I had someone attack me yesterday in a way where I hadn't been attacked like that for a while. And I actually cried. I didn't cry as much as I had cried before, but it had me in tears the way that they were attacking me because there are people now the way they attacking, and then it's sad because the Satanists, they'll get pregnant via Satanism, and then they'll keep raping people via astral projection while they're pregnant because then they're getting stuff out of it. And it's really crazy because, anybody who's, if you knew what was in the kids that were manifested via Satanism, you wouldn't, world look real different. The world look real different. It's a reason why, from what I've been doing in my research, most of the people who are witchcraft, a bunch of their kids, they stay in it, even if they experience SRA. And there's a reason for that. And there's a lot of entities right now who have gotten people pregnant and who have actually killed very good people and then gotten very evil people pregnant. But one thing I will say about those people who are manifesting babies via evil, I remember a very evil race car driver once projected something at me about putting things into something and multiplying, about women multiplying things. When she puts something into a woman, it multiplies. Well, if you put something into an evil person, what it do? If that person is evil, what are they multiplying? So some of them people who get pregnant via astral projection and get pregnant via astral projecting them, their sex life, rape, that kind of thing, and just very evil sexuality. Trust and believe. It's a lot of them beings don't come back. One of the things about it is a bunch of those kids don't come back. They got one time, one life, and they don't reincarnate. So one of the main things about that is beings that come from that don't always reincarnate. You got to be an extremely evil person to do that in the first place, to use Satanism to get pregnant in the first place. And so once a person is into that kind of evil and into that kind of thing, they're into something that instantly put people on the suicide once the person feels it. It's death. It's like they having sex with death. They having sex with trauma, torment, torture, lies, and murder. They putting their dick in that. Or and they multiplying it. They putting their dick in murderers. What are they multiplying if they putting their dick in murderers? A lot of them people are incestuous, pedophiles. What they putting their dick in? So there's some people, walking around the earth right now, manifesting kids, manifesting pregnancies via Satanism. Spiritually, those still multiply. There's still something that multiplies in anything that a person uses spiritually. And they'll do things like they'll try to say they stole somebody's womb and stuff like that. I was very grateful that the people who did that to me, the kids don't try to steal my womb. They kids don't. They tried to take the inheritance from my offspring and put it into theirs, and they couldn't do it. And then there are people right now trying to be the Hada Maquette by saying, making people think that bad things about me, but they cannot. They can't take being the Hada Maquette. The Hada Maquette is about knowledge, and there are three alchemists. The three of us know each other by spirit, so you can't pretend to be me to the other two alchemists. So we are the ones who look at the Giza complex. I look at the Giza complex, and I'm the one who knows what the Giza complex means. Says. Now, it doesn't mean, but it says. Because I was alive then, and I've reincarnated and reincarnated so many, many, many times. And I was in Giza 3 times. Well, I was in Egypt 3 times, and those 3 times I reincarnated there. My face is carved on the Bastet statue, on the Lion of Judah statue, and that's the one they call the Great Sphinx. That's my face. So if you look at my face, that's really my face. Um, so you can actually see. So that's really my face. So when that statue is carved, because I'm the one who is the Hemaket, I'm the person who there are things revealed to me that aren't revealed to the others. Although there are things revealed to the others that aren't revealed to the three of us who are not, there are things revealed to the three of us that are not revealed to most of the population. Okay, and there are things revealed to me that are not revealed to the others because I'm the Lion of Judah of the group of us three. And so when you see Tris Magistus is twice reincarnated. So I was incarnated twice in Kemet. I'm not twice, 3 times in Kemet. And so those tablets belong to me. They are my tablets. And I speak truth. So anything that I'm interpreting on sacred texts, the way that you understand that I'm telling the truth is greater consciousness. You perceive via greater consciousness that helps you to perceive and understand that I'm telling the truth. So there are people who are trying to usurp that and use that in a destiny swap and have themselves looked at as if they're some sort of savior and that kind of thing. But they're not capable of taking the Ramaket because I'm clothed by the sun. And being clothed by the sun means the sun, one, it means that I do what the sun says in a way where my clothing, when something puts on the garments, the clothing, that means it's like I'm putting on the sun. So my connection to the sun, um, in the way that I move, the things that I do have to do with the things that the sun is doing directly on earth. So they don't do that. And they don't have the knowledge that I have. And they trying to fake it, but they don't have the knowledge that I have. And that's not their face on the statue. And the reason I'm here is to evolve us. And they can't evolve people because Satanism won't allow them to do it. So, they keep thinking they could usurp that, but they can't usurp that. And so I'll continue to know sacred texts and I continue to project, and once I project, they do attack. But I had an understanding I would be attacked before I started projecting sacred texts. I was told who would attack me. Actually, it was after I started projecting sacred texts, I was told to expect attacks from certain beings or entities, and they were attacking. But it's something that they can't usurp because the person, there's a female too wanting to be, and she really can't be because she don't have the knowledge, and she can't pretend in front of the other Gnostics. It's 3 of us. So if she try to say that it's her, it's not her. It's 2 of them, as a matter of fact, that wanted to usurp that are Satanist. 3, now that I think about it. And then a 4th is somebody else was trying to usurp. But they can't do it because it's about knowledge and it's a direct connection to the sun. And so being clothed by the sun, they are not clothed by the sun. And the sun is a more dimensional being who is extremely more conscious. And so they're trying to bully the sun, in other words. They're trying to bully the sun and tell the sun, oh, don't, to give the, it's like saying the sun should give the knowledge to the evil person instead of the good person. You know what I mean? But they can't do that. So my position in life is not up for grabs. It's not exchangeable. And I'm very, very glad. I'm very, very glad to be me and that they can't kill me. They've been trying to kill me for a while and they can't kill me either. Um, but I guess that's as far as what's going on. They've tried. They've tried and they tried a lot of different ways. Right now, I hated the guy had to ride the bus because they wrecked my car trying to kill me. I mean, it's dangerous, to project sacred texts. It's dangerous to project truths because the witchcraft, people who do witchcraft, attack. And when they attack, they isolate. Now they try to isolate me more than they did, but they can't kill me. So I'm very grateful that they can't kill me. But it's some other people that is either committed suicide or they're really in isolation, suffering in a way where they probably are very close. So y'all need to check on your neighbors and stuff sometimes because sometimes that's witchcraft attack. That's not always just people suffering through depression. And let's see, it's 4:27. So I think I've talked enough. Um, I can't say that I haven't talked enough, and I'm not ever quiet. So we're in a world of sound. We're in a community of sound. Our cosmic community is gorgeous. So we're in this gorgeous cosmic community of sound. And I'm not ever quiet. And I'm really glad. I'm really, really, really glad. I'm not ever quiet. I reincarnate and I evolve and I seed. And I'm not ever quiet. And I so love consciousness for projecting me the being who's not ever quiet and who's always, who's evolutionary. So I'm always evolving. And so they, that's and wisdom is my love language. So they speak my love language to me, and I love that the consciousness speaks my love language to me, all the time, all the time. I'm always evolving, and I'm really glad, like really really glad. I'm happy, happy. In other words, I'm happy, 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 happy. So I've been speaking. I've got some sacred texts I wanted to work on, but I did decide to just do this live video because as I was laying here, getting ready to do interpret, I had that attack the day before yesterday, and that was really kind of disturbing me because I mean it had me to a point to where I was like I slid down the wall and cried, and you think that's something that people only do on TV, but if you ever slid down the wall and cried, you were so sad. That's how hurt I was. I slid down the wall and cried. So, and they had me crying like that, like crying. And that, so I was like, well, let me, talk about it. That hadn't happened in a while. And so I talked about it. And so it's been talked about. And then I had there's this person in Africa. She got long, well, she keep projecting herself with this long hair. And, you know, because of some things that happened with my hair when I was attacked by witchcraft. I woke up one day and it was like gone, or the hair overnight. It was overnight because somebody had done a curse on me. So, and then some things that happened before the overnight. So it was pretty bad for a while. And so, but I wasn't doing that after a while. I wasn't feeling like that. But after then, when I cried and I slid down that wall and cried, and then I just had to sit and so I felt like I had to talk to somebody because I hadn't talked to anybody about it. And normally I don't really need, certain things to do certain things because I can pretty much like heal myself, or, I get help from the greater consciousness to heal. So I'm very, I have that where I don't have to, well, I know that I'll be okay. But for a while I didn't. And so it was much more difficult. But because I know now things that I didn't know then, it's a lot easier. So all of those who are actually good, have a fantastic day today. It's gonna be a fantastic day. But be careful because the floods are manifesting. But it'll be a fantastic day being a part of the rainbow. But the floods are manifesting. You know, the evil has gotten a kind of a grip for the last 4 centuries, and they don't want to let go. So they doing a bunch of evil, so floods are manifesting. But they won't take out too many people because the rainbow. And the rainbow is all those people who are doing things to help the earth because the earth is uncomfortable. So those who are cleaning out the oceans is the rainbow. Those who are cleaning up the lakes are the rainbow. Those protecting the true sacred text, rainbow. Those who are picking up trash on the street, you know, just because they picking it up, not because they are forced to do it, rainbow. You know, those kind of people are the rainbow. Those who actually don't eat flesh food. Flesh food is a terrible thing to eat unless the thing is already dead. And who go vegan and go fruitarian, rainbow. Those who are aiding to um, keep evolving and beautify, keeping beautiful our conscious cosmic community. Um, so with that, and with the evil, I hope y'all have a shitty day. Um, to anyone evil out there, or start cultivating good and stop being evil. And that's it. Um, I guess I will see you all when I do another video. But the next video probably gonna be God to See Her. It'll either be the Little Mermaid or God to See Her, most probably.